the promise of the Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp is that members will book themselves on 12 or more of the right podcasts within 12 weeks. And Joe and Holly came in together as a team, and Holly and Joe together booked 19 shows within 12 weeks, and many of them were top 1% or top 5% podcasts. And I also recall that Karen and Renee Thornborough came in as a duo, and I believe y'all exceeded the goal of 12. Not only that, but you also went to the National Publicity Summit to make a whole lot of other magic happen. And so for people who are wondering, how come people got better results than I did coming in by myself? The reason they got better results is they brought in the reinforcements to do the things that the other person would not do. So, Joe, I'm going to introduce you in just a moment. I want to take just a quick minute just to say.
Wait, before you go on, Nancy.
Yes.
I just have to add that I just hired Holly to do that magic for me that she did for Joe, and we just started, so I'm really looking forward to what we do together.
Oh, that's so good. I'm so happy for you. Smart decision. Which is a perfect segue for me to just share some important aha that came to mind, since we're talking about what we do and who we do it for. Joe Pallo is my ideal client because he's got something to say. He's a top performer. He knows how to put sentences together to deliver real value. And yet there's some things that he just won't do. And I'm thinking to myself, what do we need to do to get him to do these things? What we need to do is train an assistant to do the things he won't. So together they can accomplish more together, where each person would be in their zone of genius and nobody would be complaining. If that's exciting to you, like put a yes in the chat and say, yes, that's exciting to you, because I think that there is a gap in the marketplace between done for you booking agencies and people that do it themselves. I think if we can have top performers come in with their assistants, even if they're brand new, spanking new assistants, if they come into the training to learn how to do this together, they're going to be unstoppable. And that's really what I'm intending to do for the next cohort of my session. And so what I did over the weekend, which I'm kind of excited about, is I wrote a position description for the characteristics and personal qualities your assistant needs to have in order to be amazing in your corner and by your side to book you on shows, so you get to show up for the show and be brilliant and not do the things that you won't do. And so I want you to know that in the Facebook group, which I'm taking you to right now, I'm taking you there. Shoot, I thought I was taking you there. Here it is. If you go to the Facebook group for the alumni group and you click on the Files tab, there it is right here. Oh, am I in the right group? Position description. If you click on this, there's this handy dandy report. And if you scroll through it, it actually explains what the qualities are that you need to have in your assistant. An excellent podcast researcher and booker has all of these qualities and all of these skills and works in this manner and has these personal qualities. And what I want you to do, I heard many of you say, I want more podcast bookings. I want to be booked on podcasts. What if you access this report from the Files tab, look at this description, and then think, who do I know in my network or the people in my world who might take a look at this and say, I'm excited to do this for you, Debbie Hoffman. Will you please bring me on board to do this for you? Because if you have someone to do the things that are cringeworthy to you so you get to live in the cake zone more, how much more of it would you do? And so I really want you to access this report. And if you feel that it would serve and support other people in the world who could benefit from it, I'd love for you to share the opt-in page for it with anyone and everyone that you know, because in the early going, I mean, this is the way it happens around here. Ellen, I know you have to go, but I want you to listen to the replay because Joe's going to bring some huge value and I'll make sure you get it. Okay, thanks for being here. And everybody follow up with Ellen because she's amazing. But what I wanted to say is that I think this is a marketplace that I could create between top performers and assistants where we can bridge a gap in the marketplace that's not being met by anyone else. And I can't think of anybody more qualified to teach people how to do this together than me, since I've been teaching this for months and months, since the pandemic came to call, and the successes my clients are welcoming are uncontroverted. So I wanted to share with you this new direction that I'm heading in, because I think that it could be a breakthrough in the marketplace and a breakthrough for my business. And it could be a great gift to everyone that I get to touch and transform through this work. And another little sidebar that I would share is that, as I mentioned, I had breast cancer last year. And if there's anything more confronting, aside from perhaps there are things that are confronting, like having an accident and being set in a wheelchair, or having a divorce, or there's all kinds of really horrible things that happen to people and that give you this wake-up call. But my wake-up call is more life in my years now. I'm not going to wait. That means I want to live in the cake zone, and I want to kick the cringe to the curb. That means I want to have energy, enthusiasm, and engagement in everything that I do and feel like I'm making a huge difference. And so that's where it is for me right now. So I've kind of up-leveled who I want to serve. I want to work with top performers up to big things. If you don't have your offer dialed in and nobody's buying your stuff, I'm not your perfect person. There are other people that I can refer you to within this group and beyond that can get that message across. But for me, the top performer up to big things is the person that gives me the greatest degree of cake. And so more cake, less cringe. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. And I'm just going to quickly find one more thing that I can drop in the chat before we introduce our amazing guest. Right here. This is the opt-in page for the free gift that I just told you about, how to recruit your assistant. You all have access to it in the Facebook group without opt-in, but if you would like to and feel inspired to share this with everyone you know, I would be so glad if you did it sooner versus later. I will tell you that I shared this with my own community yesterday, and the conversion rate from click to lead is 68%, which is really high. So that lets me know that people want this. They want it. And so let's make sure lots of people get it. And that's that. So that's my update. So going back to my agenda, we've introduced each other. We've got a warm welcome. If you have additional wins to share, post them in the chat. If you have not posted your media one sheet or your link to your best way to get in touch with you in the Facebook group, I want you to do that. And now, for the highlight of this program, I am so honored and thrilled to be able to bring to you a gentleman who has made such a profound difference in my business and in my life that I just couldn't stop myself from bringing him to you. Have you ever heard the expression, when the student is ready, the teacher appears? I have studied under many people who sell to learn how to sell better. Sometimes I've studied under people who are in internet marketing mostly. And I didn't want to learn selling from someone in internet marketing. I wanted to learn selling from someone who had 30,000 direct sales calls in the trenches, working across multiple industries to learn what really happens in a sale, how to make the emotional connection in the sale so that the logic is secondary. I just wanted to learn from the best. And so what happened was I gave a talk on a podcast. Joe was on, there were only 27 people on the call. You think you got to be on the biggest podcast in the world? No, there were 27 people there. And he liked what I said so much that he sent me a handwritten note and said, the timing's not right, but I know the timing will be right later. Let's stay in touch. How many times have you gotten a letter like that and you think, oh, yeah, right. Well, when the timing was right, he came and said, I think now's the time. Well, I'm the one that got the better end of the deal, because when I learned what it is that he did and how he did it, the next 5 enrollment conversations that I had turned into client engagements, and I wasn't selling anything. I was just showing up and listening and serving and trying to make sure that the client got what they wanted. So Joe is the man who taught me that. And Joe has been teaching me so much more. In the Facebook group, in the files tab, there is a 2-page dossier about why Joe is awesome. If you're curious about all of his credentials, you can go and find it. But I think when you hear and see what he has to say about inviting referrals as a systematic part of your business, I think his training will more than demonstrate his mastery. And my fondest hope is that as a result of what he shows you today, your game can be changed as mine has. So with that as an introduction, Joe Pallo, welcome to the call.
Thanks, Nancy. I appreciate your kind words. 2 quick disclaimers. First, I did not book 19 appointments. Holly did. So let's give all the credit to her. That's a big piece, because I found a great person and she gets all the credit for that. The second part is, and Holly, if you could do me a favor, because I can't type, if you could put all of my credentials and my Facebook and all that into the website. Before I started working with Nancy, I had LinkedIn, but I didn't use it. I didn't use I couldn't even spell podcasts. I didn't have social media. I didn't have any of that. Didn't have a web page. Everything that you see that has Sell Nothing on it is a derivative from Nancy and Holly. I had nothing to do with it. They just did it all. So I want to try to give credit where credit's due. And thank you for that. And it's been a cool experience, and something I'm finding out more and more. When we go to these Zoom classes, there's some good speakers, but I think the real value is the connections that are in the room. It's the power or the value is the people that are in the Zoom, because that's where we really start exponentially getting better on what we do and helping them out. It's kind of really close to referrals. And I'm really good at selling nothing. So I'm writing a book, How to Sell Nothing, a logical way to make the emotional sale. It should be out August 1st. But I want to talk about referrals, because it's part of our business that I think we really, really do underestimate. But before we get started, I strive to coach, teach, train, or speak. Before I do any of that, I want to make sure I create an environment or space so we can understand and listen with an open mind. When it comes to referrals, I realize there's a line in the sand mentally that we have to cross before we're comfortable asking for referrals. Sometimes it's hello, sometimes it's down the road. We're going to assume for majority of this call that we've crossed that line. We will talk about it, but there are some times where it's not appropriate to ask for referrals. You're not comfortable for it. Let's assume, just so we get through this information, we've already crossed that line mentally. Again, it's not going to be for everybody. And when I start thinking about referrals, I'll come back and think of something, and I'll have my clients describe, what is your demeanor when you're sitting in front of a quality prospect? How do you want to be perceived? And I'll hear pretty much the same words. I want to be focused, energetic, confident, prepared, trustworthy. And I'll ask my clients, are you sure you have a good picture of what that person is? Focused, energetic, confident, prepared. That's the person we need asking for referrals. One of the biggest things that happens in sales is we can go and give that great presentation, and we are focused, energetic, and confident and helpful. But when it comes to referrals, it's almost like mentally that person gets up and leaves. Another person comes and looks just like him, sits down and says, kind of maybe like to have a referral if it's not too much trouble. Here's some business cards. And we're passive. There's nothing passive about referrals. Referrals are given to confident people, and it's our mindset that we have to. And this is a sale, and we need to treat it like a sale. I'll even go further and say it is more important than the sale. And a lot of my clients will push back and say, I don't think I'm going to buy that. And here's two examples why referrals are more important than the sale. First one, I was selling Tom James custom clothing. I went and saw a gentleman at Lutheran Brotherhood. It's now Thrivent Financial. And his name's Lyle Hemmingson. Went and pitched him, and he said no. I did get a no. We have it on tape. There's one no that I had. But he gave me 4 referrals. Did not buy a product from me. He gave me 4 referrals. 18 months later, I had 80 clients at Thrivent Financial. There is no way his business that he could have bought could have equated from that referral tree. Similar thing happened at St. Paul Companies, our Travelers Company, Travelers Insurance. They're based in St. Paul, Minnesota. Sent a mailer to an individual, went, sold him, did not even deliver my product. At the same first meeting, he gave me 3 referrals. 2 years later, I had 150 clients at St. Paul Companies. I had my own ID badge, my own parking spot. I was just the guy. So referrals are more important than the sale, and we have to treat it that way and treat it respectfully. Now let's look at our history in sales. When we started selling, we sucked at everything. We were horrible. All of us, everyone on the call, we were horrible. But through practice and repetition and focus, we got really good at certain parts of the sale. Maybe it's establishing rapport or finding the need or establishing trust. On a scale of 1 to 10, we're up here. But yet, when it comes to referrals, we're still rookies. If we took this one part of our business and got it up on par with everything else, that's exponential growth, and it's right there ready for you. So that's what we're going to talk about is the referrals. How do we do this? And in sales, we have to realize we have to earn the right to ask for the next step. Well, we have to do it with referrals too. We can't just say, who do you know? Just like when we're selling, you say, do you want some? We have to go through a process. And mentally, we have to think about this process. I think with referrals, we mental mushroom and think it's a big deal. It's not. It's like, who do you know? What's your favorite color? It's the same thing. Referrals are not a big deal. And I think what holds us back is we worry about the trust there. And I use this example. I use silly examples too, but let's just say, I'll use you as an example, Nancy. Let's say I'm in town and we're having a cup of coffee and I say, hey, Nancy, I left my billfold in the car. Would you mind buying a cup of coffee? I'll pay you back. And you'd probably do it. Maybe not, but I'm going to assume you would.
I would.
Yeah, but it's not a big deal. But let's say we're having that breakfast. Say, hey, Nancy, do you have 500,000? I'll pay you back. It's a different level of trust. So we understand that. Well, if you're working with clients and you've already shown what you do, you've already got past the cup of coffee. We've already had that, established that trust. They're already your clients. A better example, let's say it's summer and my kids are out playing and my neighbor's kids out in the backyard and we're doing some work. And I said, hey, I got to run to Home Depot. Can you watch the kids? I'll be back in 15 minutes. I trust my neighbor to watch my kids. That's a high level of trust. But then 2 weeks later, we're going on vacation and said, I don't know if I could ask them to bring in the garbage cans. It just doesn't make sense. We're not thinking the right way about referrals. We already have the trust. The biggest objections are in our head. It's not them, it's us. Logically, they should be giving us clients. We've already established that trust. It's just us holding us back. And again, referrals are more important than the sale. And I think of referrals that we don't really understand how to ask for them. And I've created something, it's called the simplified referral ask. And this will be in my notes. But mentally, if I'm going to ask for referrals, I want to ask you, and we're going to go through this in a minute. We're actually going to do this live. So all of us are going to get some live practice on this. But I want to say, and I keep using Nancy's example. Nancy, just curious, we've worked together for the past year or so. We've taken care of this. We've gotten your closing ratios up. We've helped you with referrals. I just want to get some feedback. What are some things you've liked about working with me or my company or my team? And whatever she says goes in this bucket called those things. It's her voice, and it's filled with things she likes about working with me.
So can I answer that question just for fun?
Absolutely, sure.
And I also want to point out, Jennifer Beal has chimed in, treat your referral partners better than your referrals.
Absolutely.
That's brilliant, brilliant, brilliant.
Yes.
What are some of the things I've enjoyed about working with you? Every time I see your name on my calendar, I'm smiling and winking and not cringing because I know I'm going to get value every time we talk. Number two, when I had the opportunity to coach you on creating a free gift for your tribe, and we created the earning system, as we were creating it, I was already thinking to myself, this tool is going to be sitting on my desk every single day to remind me of what to do and how to do it, so I stay on point. And so even though I was delivering value to you, I was getting value instantly that paid off with the first 5 calls that I did. Number 3, some of us are allergic to selling and think that the other things that we do are going to carry the day. And when I work with you as consistently as I have, I realize that selling has to be something that has to be top of mind every day. And every time I talk to you, you say, well, did you do this? Did you do your sparking activities? Did you do the thing about referrals? Did you do, like there's accountability there. So those are just a few of the things, aside from the fact that you're a really nice guy and I really enjoy you as a human being.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Those words went into that bucket called those things. Be prepared when you ask that, because this is going somewhere. I asked the 2 most powerful words in sales, and they're probably the least used. What else? You want them drawing more. We want them filling up the bucket of things that they like about working with me, my team, or my partners. And you may have to give them a couple of examples, but if these are your good clients, it's just going to come. It just came to Nancy. So now I'm in the referral ask, and I'm in a confident mode, and I'm being prepared, and I've just got you complimenting what you work about, what you like about working with me. Let's just pivot. My referral ask is, Nancy, who are 3 people who would appreciate those things? It's that simple. It's a specific number. I don't say, who do you know? That's too hard. I want to get to the great A-level referrals, and I want them to start giving me those names. And they've just set it up. It's kind of awkward. They've been bragging about me. It's kind of unreasonable to think, well, I can't think of anybody. We've kind of walked them down the road where they bragged about us. Say, who are some people who appreciate those things? It's that simple of an ask, and it's done confidently. And remember, with referrals, we're rookies. When we started, we were horrible at selling. We're probably not going to be that good with asking for referrals. We're going to have to practice it. And my challenge, and it'll be in the notes that Nancy sent out, write out your script and get it memorized, because referrals are given to confident people. Simply, I'll repeat it again because we want to make sure we get this. And this is when I do role play, this is the part that we miss. It's I need them to say what they liked working about me before my ask. That is how I earn the right. They have to say something like that. I'll pause for a moment, and if there's any questions here, I'll let you raise your hand or put them in the chat if there's any questions before I go on.
I just want to corroborate what you said, because being able to ask the now existing client, what did you do that worked for them, that was productive for them, first and foremost, before asking for a referral, is absolutely crucial.
Amen.
Okay. So let's put this into practice. I'm a coach, and I believe in role playing, and it's weird and it's dorky and we hate it, but it's very effective. I'm going to ask everyone on the Zoom to open a Word document or get out a piece of paper, and let's write down 3 things we liked about working with Nancy. 3 things we've gained. 3 things, the way she's affected us. 3 things about our company. I'm going to give us a couple minutes. While I'm doing that, I'm going to actually give a couple of key points we may want to incorporate into your referral ask. So I'm not just going to have the silence of 4 minutes that everyone's typing, because that's weird and awkward. So think of the things that you liked that Nancy's done and impacted you, and write them down. While you're doing that, here are some key points that you may want to do in your referral ask. You can't use them all. Just take the ones that resonate. The first part is I need a transition statement. It's purely for me. It doesn't matter what it is. My transition statement is, it's one, if I could ask a favor. One, if you can ask me, so you could help me out. I ask 2 yes questions that I'm going to get yeses from. But all it does is signifies in me, in my mind, then I'm not going to be passive in my referral ask. I'm focused, attentive, energetic. That's the guy who's asking for referrals. My transition statement does that. That's all for me. It doesn't matter what it is, but I'm zero focused in. I am not passive with referrals. They're too important. Another idea, I would say, one thing's important for me is customer service. And a lot of times clients will have a question for me and they think they're going to get it to me. When we get together, they forget about it. If we're face-to-face, is that your phone there? So yeah, can you put my name in your phone? I literally want my name, or if we're on the Zoom, can you put my name in your database? And I want to do that for a couple of reasons. Is one, it's good customer service. It's a nice warm fuzzy. Two, once my name gets into their referral, I've crossed a threshold and I want my name to be there. But the biggest reason is when I ask for who are 3 people they know, their names are in their phone. Right now, we're not going to give a referral unless it's in here. It's just not going to happen. So I'm taking away the objection. I can't think of anybody because they've got several thousand people right here in their phone. That's just another point. I'd also share with them some good news. People want to do business with successful people. We don't want to come across as bragging, but say, hey, business is up, we're growing, I'm hiring people. People want to do business with successful people. Another idea. When we ask, it has to be a confident ask. There is nothing passive about referrals. I'm repeating myself because it's that important. My ask, and it has not changed, I would say, based on who you know, the person you are, who are 3 people at your level in your phone that I should meet? It's that confident. We're all big boys and girls. We're asking for referrals. And again, I'm not going to give a referral to someone who's passive because that's how they're going to treat their people. I'll repeat it. Based on who you know and the person you are, who are 3 people at your level in your phone that I should meet. And I say in your phone because I want that, at your level because I want to get referred up. Based on who you know and who you are, they're not going to say, well, let me call them first. It's the relationship. And then I'll pause and I'll say, here's how I treat them. I'm going to treat them like gold. I just want to connect with them. If they like me, great. If they don't, I'm going to leave them alone. I might add, I'm not going to be that guy. And they want to hear that because that is an objection and I'm answering in advance. Another point is when we started, again, we're rookies with referrals. We had to close several times in order to write some business. Well, we're rookies with referrals. We may have to close several times. Come up with 2 to 3 different asks. You don't have to use them all, but be confident. And if you close for a second time for referrals, don't close with the same words because their mind thinks, wait a minute, I've heard this before. Develop 2 or 3 different ways of closing for referrals because we need that. Again, we're rookies. We were selling. We had to close a couple of times just the right business. Now we're experienced. It just seems that we just close. People say, well, where do I sign up? That will happen with referrals, but we got to go through that trial process. The last idea is we want to make sure we give feedback when they give us referrals. I personally would say, hey, Nancy, thanks for the referrals. I'll let you know which people hung up when I mentioned your name. Just a little bit of humor, but it does tell them, and I'm telegraphing, I'm going to give them feedback because I owe it to them. If Nancy gives me 3 referrals, I call all 3 of them, and all 3 of them say they're good and they're taken care of. I owe her a call back. Say, hey, it's a great voicemail. Nancy, thanks for the referrals. Reached out to 3 folks. Looks like they're taken care of, but I appreciate it. Because her brain goes, well, who else do I know? I'm planting the seed for the next time I talk to her before I even get there. She gives me 3 referrals. I reach out to them, actually start meeting with all 3 of them. I owe her a call back. Hey, Nancy, thanks for the referrals. Met the people. They're great people. Looks like we're going to talk again. I appreciate it. Her brain goes, who else do I know? So those are just some tips. Don't use them all. Just take the ones that resonate. Take the best and leave the rest. But I want each of you to come up with your referral ask or your personalized referral ask. Now,
Joe, Joe, I just want to comment what Jennifer Beal posted. I'm so surprised how many people do not thank me for referrals.
Yeah.
Ask yourself, are you guilty of that also? Have you ever forgotten to thank someone for their referrals? It seems so basic. Don't let this be your fate.
I think you're right. And I've done it, but it's been a while because they're that important to my business. You know, but Nancy, before we started, my business was 100% referral based. I've been doing this for 8 years. I've never done a podcast. I didn't have a Facebook, didn't have a website. This is how I did it. So that appreciative thank you is really, really important. So now I'm going to ask just everyone go around. Remember the assignment. What were some things that were role playing with Nancy that you liked about working with Nancy? Just go ahead and call them out or go ahead and say it.
Very straightforward.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Karen. I saw you first. Go ahead, Karen.
Learning sexy sound bites.
Okay. I'll just call on people. Debbie White.
Yeah, I know. I was unmuted, ready to go. Nancy does the most beautiful, amazing introductions that I've ever seen.
Okay. Vicki, what you got? Vicki, I think you're on mute. Oh, she may have stepped away. Harriet, what are some things you've gotten from working with Nancy?
Her generosity is such an example. So generous.
Tim Wade, I'm going to write a book soon.
Yes, that's my middle name now. I got three things right off the top of my head that Nancy delivers over and above constantly every single time. Always absolutely exceeds expectations. She truly cares about her clients and that they succeed. And she is brilliant in real time, giving practical, doable, effective help.
Awesome. Paulette?
I have, oops, what on there? Straightforward, no BS, and truly generous coaching. Nancy shares her expertise and is real in her criticism. What I mean by that last part is that it's not fluff, it's not text, it's not coaching wording. It's from the heart because of her experience and her wisdom and what she's had in the past, and its only intention is to make you better, even if it's hard to hear.
Awesome. Michelle, how about you?
Nancy shares her own experiences in ways that makes it easy for all of us to emulate. And Nancy also, as said before, genuinely cares about being an impetus for our success, for my success, for our success.
Vicki, I'll come back to you. Vicki?
I'm sorry about, I was moving. It takes me a while to move right now. I just wanted to be sure to put my voice in there. I know some of them have been said, but basically Nancy is awesome at showing up with you where you are and then expanding you to the next level. She delivers great value. I think what Tim said beyond what expectations might be. And there's always that sense that she's by your side and in your corner no matter what.
Harriet? You have any ideas? What have you gained from working with Nancy?
I have been able to take helpful feedback, not as criticism, but about caring for my success. And Nancy continues to be generous with what she knows and who she knows. And she's always creating the environment for me to step up, go beyond where I am, step up, because I can. And so being encouraging in that way has been extremely helpful. Thank you.
Barbara, what have you gained from working with Nancy?
Wow. Tons. One of the things I think that's so brilliant about her is her ability to craft messages and language in such a way that it draws people in on an emotional level like nobody I've ever met.
Nancy A?
Nancy over delivers, which I think everybody in this room knows that she provides so much value and coming from New York, I love the fact that she is straightforward. She shoots straight, the velvet boot. I've been on the receiving end of that a few times, but it all comes with love and strong desire for us to succeed and do well.
Jennifer.
Yeah, I'm one of Nancy's referral partners. And one thing Nancy does that hardly anybody does, and I love what you're saying today, Joe, is she keeps me in the loop every step of the way through whatever campaign we're working on together, and does it. And I want to say one thing about her. I have helped hundreds of business owners earn tens of millions of dollars through referrals over the past 20 years. And one day, Nancy, after talking with her, and I phoned her up and said, how can I help you? And she told me about a campaign. I said, I'm in. And after our conversation, she turned to me and she said, Jennifer, I want to do this for you. And I cried because nobody had ever offered that to me along the way. Everybody was always take, and I'm generous and I've made money doing it and it was fine. But the day she did that was turning point for me where I said, no more. Everybody reciprocates now. Nancy set the bar. And so I love and appreciate you, Nancy. And I didn't ask for it. It just naturally poured from her heart. She's the real deal. She really cares. She's compassionate, she's kind and generous. And I have, hands down, no problem recommending her to anybody because I know they're in good hands when they're with her.
Patty?
One of the things that I've appreciated from the very beginning working in group coaching with Nancy is that she created, Nancy, created a community vibe right out of the gate. Nancy, you didn't have to like show up as the all-knowing guru without, be all end all, but she just really creates an open interaction. You are committed to being of service, and through that you create solid, real collaboration connections for people. Like you follow through, you do it, you hook people up, you where there's synergy, you see it, and you take the step. And I appreciate all of those things.
Diana?
Well, I ditto a lot of it, what everybody has said. A couple things. Not only does Nancy really care about our professional growth, but she cares about what's happening on the personal side. And some of you know I've had a very challenging, like over a year. And one of the other things I really appreciate about you, Nancy, is that you're always learning. And what you're learning, you bring back, to your clients, and you always over deliver in every single interaction, whether it's supporting your launch as a JV partner, being a client, being in your mastermind, you always over deliver, and you truly care about your clients in a way that probably almost nobody else does.
Holly, you're not off the hook. What's up, Holly?
I love Nancy, and I just love how you've taken me like under your wing, and you constantly encourage and uplift, and you'll always find tools to help anyone who wants to get somewhere. So the knowledge that you've shared is invaluable, and I appreciate you so much.
It's about 20 minutes of just pure things that Nancy's done. And we've all filled up that bucket for those things. So now I'm going to put you all on the spot. Who are 3 people that you know, and I want you to write them down right now. We're going to send them to Nancy that would appreciate those things. We're practicing what we preach. 3 people at your level that would appreciate those things. And I'm asking you to send them to Nancy because she's going to take care of them. She's going to go over and above and beyond. That's the first part of the simplified referral ask. We went through it live And I did that deliberately because when we're on the receiving end, it's like, well, this isn't that big of a deal. I think everybody here is comfortable coming up with at least 3. If you came up with 6 to 10, I think that's okay. I think Nancy would still take them. Maybe she said, no, I only want 3, but maybe get them next time. But jot down some names of people that she needs to talk about. That is the first half of the battle. We need to get the names, but then the other part is, what do we do with the names? And that's the last part we're going to talk about with referrals. And I personally do not count a referral unless I get a silver bullet. A silver bullet is defined as something that I know that an average Joe on the street doesn't know. Because right now, we're too busy. A name and a number is not enough. I bet everybody in this Zoom has referrals. Great people, you left a message and it didn't go anywhere. It's like, it's just frustrating. And you see their business card on your desk. It's like, I want to call them, but I don't know. Or it's in your top desk drawer. And every time you see it, you don't throw it away because it's valuable, but you don't do anything with it. Well, a silver bullet can make that effective. Again, the silver bullet is something that I know that an average Joe on the street doesn't know. And I do not count referrals unless I get a silver bullet, because it blasts through everything else and I'll get a contact. Now, the silver bullet, it kind of goes with, if we're asking questions, let's say we want to talk to Bill Anderson. That's the referral. We may ask a couple questions. How long have they worked there? How long have you known them? Where do they golf? Or do they go to church? What group are they part of? Something like that. Just some nice questions. Then I change gears and say, hey, just curious, what type of decision maker is Bill? Is he a numbers guy? Is he a driver? Or is he a talker? That, again, is a transition, because I'm getting a silver bullet and I'm very focused on this. This is not something I'm messing around with. I'm going to get this piece because it's so valuable. My transition is, what type of decision maker is he or is she? And I give him an answer. Is he a driver? Is he a talker? Is he a numbers person? Because I want them thinking about that individual. Then I can change and I ask the questions I love asking. What do you respect most about her? Awesome question. What do you respect most about her or him? And I may say, what else? And you literally look at their face, see them kind of frustrated. Like, I've got to think about it. Yes, I want you thinking about it, because this is a relationship. I'm drafting off of your relationship onto this one. I want you thinking that. What do you respect most about her? I'd say, tell me a funny story. What's special about her? These are all silver bullets. What do you like about them? Why do you think I should call them? You can get silver bullet after silver bullet after silver bullet, because I need that when I call. That's how I get through. Some live examples of real silver bullets. I de-identified them. John Doe, he's out of the Seattle office, same job, good sales guy, always competing. If they have a ninja challenge over who's going to win, they both get very competitive. He's a very hard worker, awesome guy. He's not a meathead. He's a progressive thinker. I left a message. And actually, his real name's Aaron. I won't use his last name. I said, Aaron, it's Joe Pallo. We haven't actually met yet. Mark mentioned your name, and I'm not sure if that's going to help me or hurt me. He said you're not a meathead. 612-805-7576. That was my message. And you know what?
That was good.
Aaron called me back within 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And he became a client. He's a good friend, and he is a meathead. So he was wrong there, but that's how effective these silver bullets are. Another one, John Doe too, was a mortgage broker, was managing 3 LOs, makes good money, he's a great guy. Now he's managing 50. He's from Finland, can engage with everybody. Everyone likes him. It's more popular than Mark. Those silver bullets are great to leave on a message, because you can leave one, they don't call you back, you leave another, they'll call you back. That's how I get referrals. So if we're all sending Nancy 3 or 4 referrals, and I'm not letting you off the hook on that, we want those coming to Nancy. Her job, and this is your action item, Nancy, is to call these people and say, okay, I need silver bullets on these people, because we're not going to waste it. This blows up your ratios. People will call you back when you leave a silver bullet. Key point with this. When Aaron called me back, I'm talking to him. I put his names in my phone, so I know it was him. I even put the referee name in there too. I'm talking to the person I want to talk to. I do not go in my pitch. It's harder than heck not to do. But I don't know what's going on the other end of the call.
Can you say that part one more time? Because I think I missed that.
If I call Aaron and then he called me back and I see it's him, I do not, and I mean, he's calling me back. I do not want to go into my pitch right then and there. Because I don't know what's on the other end of the call. I can get halfway through my pitch and he says, hey, Joe, I'm jumping on a plane. Can you call me back? And it's gone. So I would say, Aaron, hey, thanks for calling. I saw it was you. I wanted to pick up your call. I'm actually heading into something. Can we set up a time for next week? It elevates the importance of my call. It gently puts me in control of that call. That's how you do it. Even though I could have time, but the biggest reason is I am so focused on referrals. I'm selling that person right there on that call. I'm not going to do it when I'm not in the mindset. Even though I may be pretty good at sales, I can probably do it. It's too important. This call, you look at your average transaction size, if it's 18 grand, that call right there is worth 18 grand. I'm not just going to wing it. I'm going to be focused. I'm going to be ready to call them. I'll set up the time, clear my desk, clear my head. Now I can go through and I start right back off with the silver bullets. And I'm throwing a lot out here for you, and I'll stop for questions if you have any questions, but that is kind of my drinking from the fire hose, a lot of information on referrals. Any questions or comments or observations from anybody?
Absolutely
Hey, Joe,
love this. I feel like you threw a two by four over my head because I really did not think of referrals as the A game. I kind of thought of it as the afterthought, oh, might as well ask, but this is absolute strategy. Love it.
Yeah, Joe, what I was going to say is that I love that approach because how many times have we all received a call from somebody and you don't have enough information or you're not prepared, you're not mentally prepared, you're in the midst of something else, you're heading out to something else. It's just brilliant to ask them to set up a time so that you can really be focused on the conversation and have a meaningful dialogue with the other person.
Yep. Any other thoughts?
I have a comment. Sometimes I do a lot of joint ventures with people in the transformational coaching space, and everybody wants to meet other people who have their influential lists and be introduced in a warm manner. But there's such a variation in the way that these introductions come across. Sometimes I get something like, Bob, meet Susie. Susie, meet Bob. Check out each other's websites and see what else can happen. Peace out. But and when I get one of those, I think there's a lot of work that I have to do in order to make sense of whether or not I even want to talk to Bob. And so what I love about the silver bullet thing, and I've been doing this my own way for a long, long time, as some of you have mentioned, I really want you to meet Mark Porteous, because not only does he do this, that, or the other really well, but he's got a heart of gold and integrity that's unshakable. And these are the kind of people I like to introduce people to. And Mark, let me introduce you to so-and-so. Like I like to say, give them enough meat on the matter so they want to pick up the fork and take a bite. And so when I get those transactional introductions, I think to myself, oh boy, here I go again. Lots of work, and better put up my Teflon because I don't know what's coming. And so I just love, love, love this approach to silver bullets. And I think it's super useful for all of us to learn how to give and receive silver bullets for each other in this community.
It's the relationship.
Yeah,
go ahead,
thank you, Nancy. I was going to say the same thing, the silver bullets. What do you like about them? What type of decision maker are there? That was particularly helpful. And what do you most respect about him or her? What else? I mean, these are very specific that paint a picture that I have something to work with. So thank you.
You can get addicted. That's why I don't call referrals unless I get a silver bullet.
Yeah.
It's the relationship. I'm starting right there, but it does another thing. One thing we all hate is phoning. That's universal. Everybody hates it.
What was the word you used?
Phoning, calling. Yeah. And I think that referrals are, Nancy heard me say this, referrals are like fish and relatives. After 3 days, they start to stink and they need to leave. Just the way things work. Well, if we get a silver bullet, it's now I don't have to call. It's I get to call. And it changes my perspective. That's the big part about it. And I look at it when I get a referral mentally, and maybe I've trained myself to think this, that person's a client. I'm starting right there, getting as much information as I can because I want to open up that relationship, drafting on it into that first meeting. It's a huge piece. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question, Joe.
Sure.
Thank you so much, first of all. I've always differentiated a referral and an introduction, and you're really talking about an introduction, but I want to know if there's any flaws. Like, I feel like in a written introduction, I become a really important middleman that saves the person who I'm referring to the need to do a cold call, where I send a joint email introducing, telling the wonderful things about Nancy and the wonderful things about the person that I'm introducing to, so that it leaves either one to take the initiative. I've done introductions in writing for Tim, and just verbally introducing people to, Vicky, people that where there have been connections made. Do you see a difference in doing it by just giving a name and a silver bullet from actually doing it more as an introduction as you do in a room? Is there some drawback to that? Because I find it comfortable for myself, and each person feels comfortable in following up because they've already met. There's no cold calling.
There's two thoughts, and make sure I heard your question. And a lot of times, and I even used to do this when I was younger and training younger salespeople, would say, when you get a referral, can you shoot them an email or give them a call and give them a heads up, warm up the call for me? And that's promoted and preached. I push against that. We need that when we're rookies, but right now we're good. I don't need anyone to warm up my call. And that's my thinking, how I do that. I do not need them, because if I'm wanting them to send an email, I put the ball in their court. I can't call that person. Someone gives me a name and a number. I don't ask, is it okay if I give them a call? I'm going to. They have to tell me not to. I'm going to do it appropriately, professionally, and respectfully, but I'm going to call that person unless they tell me not to. If that's one part of the question, I don't know if that was the other part. If we're live in a conference room, or ask your question again. You lost me a little bit on your question.
I'm saying that if I was in a room and you were in the room and somebody who I thought should meet you, I would introduce you. And I would say something in the presence of both of you about you and what I really liked and why they should meet you, and then tell you something positive of why I thought you should meet the other person. And I think to do that in our online world, to me, feels natural. And it's not trying to be the buffer between, it's trying to leave it there where both people are left with the contact information, and you can call, but they already know you've been introduced. You're not it's not the anonymous, I've talked to you, but they don't know I've talked to you.
I now I got your question. I apologize. Yes, I'm all for that. We're all better face to face in the room. That doesn't happen. We do an email, and Nancy, you see me do this. I'll say, this is Nancy. She's a great person, blah, blah, blah. Tim, I introduce and say something with that. But I also feel obligated to follow up and give them some silver bullets in addition to, because I need that for that conversation. So I think, yes, we're there in person. We want to do it. Next best thing is email, but still make the effort, call the referee, and get some silver bullets. They're too valuable.
No, I agree with that. Thank you. Yep. That clarifies for me.
I have one thing I want to add to that, with a nod to someone we all know, Craig Lauder, who is also a Broadcaster Brilliance Bootcamp alumnus. he distinguishes between a referral and an introduction.
I did.
An introduction is not, you're not necessarily endorsing the person. You're making an introduction so they can take it from there. But when you make a referral, that's putting your own reputation on the line to extend yourself on behalf of another person, and it kicks it up a much higher level. And so I would be remiss if I did not share, Craig has a report, and I'm going to put it in the chat. So if y'all are interested in that, we like to be generous in supporting all the members of our program. And Craig Lauder has a report that may be worth your attention, because he works with trusted advisors who want to close more big deals faster. And the Connector Compass is his answer to how to do that. And he goes into detail about the difference between a referral and an introduction. I am going to check the URL to make sure that it works properly, because heck, sometimes tech can take us out. And
while you're doing that, Craig is solid. I've worked with him before. Solid person. Just that's something you want to download. Any other questions?
Hey, Joe, I have a question. The process you just walked us through, I'm assuming it's in your new book?
Yes, it is. It's also in
Okay.
the notes we in there, but it's in, I don't know, Holly knows what chapter 6 or 8.
And that's is it any other sort of written form
well,
that you can share?
guess what? Oh boy.
If only I had some good marketing people that would only be able to do that.
Forgive me, the URL for the Connector Compass I've now posted in the chat, and it's functioning. If you go to the Facebook group where we have alumni, I want to show you where it is. Joe created a beautiful handout that recaps what we talked about today, and it is posted in the Files tab of the alumni group for Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp. So if you go to the designated URL that I posted the very first part of the chat, and you come here and join the group, which I heartily encourage you to do, here you can find the referral recap right here. You can see this, right? So if you click on this and you click on this button, what do you know? All the key points that Joe shared today are beautifully formatted. Thank you, Holly Lawrence. He's got his simplified referral ask. He has information about the silver bullets. And he also has recommended action items, which, Joe, take it away.
Well, there's one other thing I want to do first, before I do that. We all just spent a good amount of time thinking how, and writing down specific things that Nancy excels at. I think what we also did is we pretty much wrote 80% of a letter of recommendation. I'm challenging each one of you, take those thoughts, put it in a letter, and send it to Nancy. We could all use 15, 20 letters of recommendation of people that know what we do. Or if you're not good at writing it, maybe you can just, Nancy, here are some ideas. Do you know anyone who's good with words and could write their own recommendation? I don't know if you know anybody, Nancy, but I challenge everyone else, in addition to giving her 3 or 4 referrals with silver bullets, and she'll contact you for them, go ahead and take the next step and write a letter for recommendation. The referral piece is key. If we all got 5 referrals, that's half the battle, but what do you do on the second part? We got to convert them. Because of Nancy's work and Holly's work, if you go to convertsalesfaster.com, walks you through that earning piece that Nancy used in her next 5 conversations were all successful conversions. Walks you through how to draft off the relationship, the silver bullets to that conversation, and make the sale. Convertsalesfaster.com. You get a preload, and do what Nancy does. Have it downloaded or print it out and have it right by your laptop, and walks you through a logical way to make the emotional sale. Oh, another question, Barbara?
Yeah, just quickly, I lost, or I didn't hear specifically where the download is or the document is about your referral, all your referral notes. I didn't hear where that was, and maybe Nancy can repeat that.
So Barbara, I just referenced the very first comment in the chat invites everyone here on the chat is on the right hand side. It says, are you a member of the alumni group on Facebook? And there's a link. There's a link to that group right there. So if you click on that link, it will take you to the alumni group. And then you go to the files tab.
Files tab. That's what I needed.
And that is where not only will you find the referral recap, you'll also have a 2-pager about Joe and his credentials. And you can also find the job description for the virtual assistant that you're going to engage to help you book yourself on podcasts. And I would be remiss if I did not say something else about Joe that was a really interesting lesson for me to learn, especially someone who wrote a book called Bye Bye Boring Bio and spent the better part of 10 years pounding why bios are important. Joe says when he meets with people, he'll say, is it okay if I skip over the part about this call where I brag about myself and just get on the business of helping you solve your problem? And I say to myself, yeah, that would be okay. And then we go into a conversation where he solves my problem. And I think he just demonstrated to me why he was so awesome. And he didn't have to take any valuable time talking about it. But I did let you know that if you want to know what his credentials are, they're all right here. And I'm sure it's going to be an afterthought after what you just experienced today, which is so often the case with so many of us. I see Paulette's hand is up. Paulette, did you have something you wanted to say?
I did. I wanted to ask the question of, and it was partly answered, but maybe I missed a bit of it. That was, how do you ask for referrals from a cold lead? Say somebody you've talked to and somebody that you have a good feeling about, or maybe you've had a first meeting with them and that meeting ended to not at this time. I take that as a cold lead, but I would like to know how to ask for a referral from that type of a relationship.
The person did not go forward with you.
Correct.
That, in my mind, is irrelevant. Referrals are given to people in a relationship. I use that example. Lyle Hemmingson did not buy from me, but he gave me 4 referrals because he liked me. There's something he liked. Mike Conroy bought for me, but he didn't have it delivered. It was going to come, 6 weeks later when you make a custom suit. But he gave me referrals because he liked the relationship. That's where it starts, with the relationship piece.
So
just kind of the recap, everyone's action item is to send Nancy 3 referrals. She's going to call you and get the silver bullets, and you can hold her accountable to that. This is my velvet boot, Nancy. And then we're right there with the letter of recommendation. Just take it the next step. I think Nancy deserves it. She's earned it. And she does great work. I appreciate everyone's time. Oh, I'm sorry. I would ask one last thing. I just started a Facebook page. I only have like 200. Holly, if you'd throw that up there, if people would like and join the Facebook or link with me, I'm not even sure how it happens, but Holly can do all that just so I can kind of get some momentum going, because I'm going in that direction. My business has been referral based. It still will be, but this is just in addition to business.
Well, I would like to let you know that Jennifer Beal, who is an incredibly influential person who we've met today and honored to have with us, is so delighted with what happened here today that she wants to invite you to share something very similar with her community. And I will be following up with you two directly to make a warm introduction, but now you've met each other. And I would pose the question, if you lead a tribe of people for whom selling is not their best event, or for whom referral marketing would be a value add that would not be competing with your own amazing content, perhaps there's an opportunity for you to collaborate with Joe Pallo in service to your community so that everyone can win, because the rising tide lifts all the boats. If that would be of interest, please take note of all of Joe's contact information. If I need to make the introduction for you, I'm more than happy to do that. But I think that he's got valuable content to share that can be game changing to all of us when we make referral asking a routine and systematic and urgent priority in our business. Is there anyone willing to say here today that you have gotten the wake up call that you need so that you can look at referrals differently? Barb, I see your hand is up. Did you want to say something? Barb, you are muted.
Sorry. No, I don't want to say anything different. I just want to corroborate what Joe is saying. I mean, his approach is right on. And the most important thing is this silver bullet piece. Really, really important, because it gives you an entree when you're talking to people, when you're talking to the referral, you know, that just creates connection immediately.
Well, very, very good. Anyone else have any thoughts, comments that they want to put in the
I just
chat?
want to thank both of you so much. This was, it was a wake up call. You know, I think about, you know, testimonials. It's like, wait a minute, for referrals? It's honestly, I have to admit, it just hasn't been like, yeah, that was a big mental shift. I really appreciate all of this. Thank you so much.
Well, it's our pleasure. I want to make another comment of something I heard a respected colleague say not long ago at a live event. You know how sometimes there are people that are building their businesses to very large scale. They're going from 6 figures to 7 figures to 8 figures and beyond. Are you one of the people that's doing that? Or are you creating more of a boutique business where you can have a life and also love your life and your work? I had this sort of aha in February of this year, because I've got a list of over 20,000 people that pay attention to what it is that I say. I've got some wonderful clients that I love working with. I love everything that I'm up to. But when the woman said, I am for the few and not for the many, I felt like I'd been hit squarely between the eyes. And I thought to myself, how can my business grow best? My business can grow best when people that I get to work with think so highly of what it is I do on their behalf that they warmly introduce me to people that they know. Because when we are the human being that we most want to attract, or the service provider that we most want to attract, or the joint venture partner that we most want to attract, when we show up as that person, that just naturally serves as a lasso to bring more people of like mind and to back to us. So for someone like me, who at this age and stage wants to build a boutique business working with amazing people up to big things, your personal introductions to people for whom my style of service and delivery and passion would be a fit would be the greatest gift you could give me. And if you're interested in that, I mean, I would be gracefully and gratefully receive any and all referrals and introductions. And I would be remiss if I did not also mention that I have a very robust JV partnership program, and I reward new engagements by rewarding the person who made the introduction that would never have come to me if not for you, with a piece of whatever it is that I am welcoming in my own shopping cart. So however it is you decide to share your referrals with me, reach out, let's talk about it. But for me, I see that as like everyone else is zagging or zigging in the marketplace to build these big, huge, multiple things. I want to zag and make it personal and small and intimate and amazing. And if I can help you further or help other people you know in the way that you have benefited, it would truly be my honor and privilege. And I just want to say to Joe, wow, I'm just going to put you all on the spot. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being, oh my God, this was the best use of my time, and 1 is I would have rather been in the snow or in Philadelphia or someplace that you'd rather not be. How did we do in service to your success? So wonderful, the validation. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Thank you, Tim. 100. Who's going to commit to making referral asking a routine and systematic and inspired aspect of your business? Let me see some yeses in the chat.
Nancy?
Yes?
Maybe a month from now, you should have just a little email and say, hey, what happened? How many did you get?
Well,
I mean, it's accountability, but that's the...
Yeah, I love that. And then I want to like bring it around to everyone else who's here. please, you met everybody today. I'm guessing that there's someone or 2 or 3 people in this room that you want to meet and connect with more deeply. Commit to getting calls on the calendar with the people for whom the match is right, and see what amazing things can happen when you guys get on the phone. Because you're all brilliant podcast guests. Some of you are excellent JV partners. You all have successful businesses. You could be referring business among and between each other and have more success with greater ease faster. And those are really nice outcomes. Does anybody want some of that?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So any parting thoughts, Joe or Holly, before we wrap up for today?
I just repeat, there's nothing passive about referrals. It's just our mindset. We're rookies right now. It's so much business is there.
Can I say something else that you've said many times during our calls together? You know, we talk a lot about ideal client, and sometimes you see those words in emails and your eyes glaze over because you've seen it so many times, it almost doesn't mean anything anymore. Is anyone willing to confess that? Oh, more ideal clients. Of course we want that. Yes, of course. Anyone with a pulse? Okay, whatever. My point is, Joe quips, do you want yachts or do you want canoes? A yacht is a ocean vessel that has many features and benefits and prestige and lovely people drinking champagne and having a wonderful time. It's a totally different audience of people than the folks that are paddling in the canoe. How can you raise the bar about who you get to work with and have that show up, as Debbie likes to say, like a lighthouse, so that people see you and know exactly what's coming and that they want it? And if you've been muddy or murky or unclear about who your ideal person is up until this point, maybe instead of talking about ideal clients, have some fun behind the scenes and think about yachts versus canoes. Because one of the things that Joe has said is how amazing it is, and how many, even in a tricky economy, Joe doesn't lack for any clients, because the people he works with invest in their success and know that someone like him has the chops to be the vehicle to help them succeed more readily. What if you take on that same attitude yourself and see what then can happen? Aim higher and step into what you have to be in order to succeed with people of that type. Anything more, Joe?
I think enjoyed your work. I mean, you're saying a lot of nice things about me, but I appreciate it. But it's right back at you, and I think everyone else on the Zoom knows that you're top notch.
Well, thank you all so much. You know, today's call was a very special thing that I decided to do for y'all, and based on what happened today, I would love to take the part of Joe's presentation and isolate that as a standalone video that I could repurpose. Is there anyone who's on the call that would object to that?
Love it.
Because if more people could see this, I think one of the things I often say, I dream about sometimes, do you ever say this to yourself? My work deserves a much wider audience. My business is worthy of sales beyond expectations. The time for this is now. I say that to myself every day when I put my feet on the floor and get out of bed with a smile on my face. But I have a feeling that when people see this presentation, they're going to get the aha moment that you were all given primary access to, and they're going to start thinking bigger. And they're also going to get to meet the people that are involved and decide if maybe there's other magic still to mine for them. So if nobody objects, I think I'd like to do that. Do I have agreement? Okay, very good. Well, remember to save the chat. You hit the 3 little buttons on the right and you save the chat. And then what I'll do is we'll render a replay and make sure that everyone who is here gets access to it. And please go to the Facebook group to download all the goodies that make keeping this alive, this referral thing alive in your world, And Joe, let's do the jazz hands for Joe and jazz hands for everybody who made today a priority. I'm so honored and thrilled to have you as part of the alumni community. And I will probably come back every 6 months or sooner to bring another expert in to help edify and champion the good work y'all are doing. And maybe it'll be someone I choose from within this very group. And so you just never know, but I'm going to be paying attention to see where the needs are and see how we can best meet them. But let's keep on advancing the path to mastery. Let's keep on being generous, and let's keep on doing the right thing, because all those things together always spell great results. Really glad to have you here, and let's honor the time. It's 4 o'clock straight up. So we are now complete. Thank you all so much.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Nancy.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Nancy.
See ya.
Thank you. This was
Thank
rich.
you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye. So good to see you, Paulette. I've missed you.
Likewise. Loved you a lot.
Love you too. All right. I'm going to end the meeting. Thank you so much. And Michelle, we're talking about the second half of the meeting where Joe started talking and giving his presentation. So the introductions to everybody would not be shared if I were to share this out in a larger audience. That's what you would be saying yes to, that Joe's presentation could get a larger audience. I hope that's clear. I hope you don't object. All right. And
Thanks,
it looks
Nancy.
like it's just you and me, Joe.
Yep.
So I'm going to stop the recording.